America! Land of the free, home of the whopper. Lay down your fifey drums a sec, because we're actually not talking about you. I know that's a shock, because usually I think statistically, but we're not doing math. You are the topic of conversation all over the world, mostly because everyone else is going, the fuck are those maniacs doing over there? We are the neighbors blasting Shipping Up to Boston on repeat, even when it's not St. Patrick's Day, which, since I'm on the subject, reminds me to remind you that the fucking Dropkick Murphys wrote other songs! Turn down the street fighting, pipe slamming Boston pirate hooligan shanty for a fucking second, America, because we're not talking about you. We're going back a bit. Before The Departed, before The Warriors Code, before Give 'Em the Boot 4. There's a few more, and Google is your friend. If I hear that song one more fucking time in St. Patrick's, I'm kicking everybody in the dick. In fact, we're going back before the Dropkick Murphys started in Quincy, Massachusetts, across the pond to England back in 1991. Back in the day, the first age, the before times, in Manchester, England, that's a Hair reference, which was the American tribal love rock musical from 1968. But we're not talking about you, America. Put down your coffee, we're doing tea. Don't freak out, there's going to be pints later. Two Pauls, a Chris, and a Tony. Paul Gweezy McGuigan, Paul Arthurs, Tony McCarroll, and Chris Hutton started a band called Rain. Hutton leaves, Arthur brings on his mate, Liam Gallagher, to sing in the band. Liam suggests they change the name of the band to something a little less sad boy, and was inspired by a poster that hung in he and his brother Noel's room of the band in spiral carpets. They were part of this acid house psychedelia movement in the late 80s in Manchester called the Madchester movement. Keep the fuck up. If you can follow House of the Dragon, you can follow this. Anyway, in Spiral Carpet's poster, the band was playing a venue called the Oasis Leisure Center, and Liam figured the band should be called Oasis, and thus it was said. Meanwhile, Noel was watching. All these songs and ideas came to them and said he should be writing the songs. And at the time, according to Arthur's quote, he had loads of stuff written. When he walked in, we were a band making a racket with 4 tunes. All of a sudden, there were loads of ideas. They simplified a bit from the washy noise they were experimenting with, which, by the way, would be de rigueur. That means happening. That means what's going on. In 1991, because Britain at the time, whilst in America, we were experiencing grunge for the first time. What is grunge? It's whatever, never mind. They were experiencing... Hold on tight. They were... Did someone yell nerd? Yeah. They were experiencing the shoegazing movement brought about by My Bloody Valentine's album Loveless. It's like Proto-Smashing Pumpkins, which wouldn't come about for 2 years, but we're not talking about you. It was called shoegazing because there was a lot of effects pedals, so the band was always looking down. Meanwhile, Oasis starts simplifying the music with bar chords, root bass, and simple rhythms, with their amps up for distortion, creating a no-nonsense, simple kind of pop rock perfect for northern blue-collar culture at the time. Anyway, 1993, about when Siamese Dream came out, by the way, since this is not about you. But you love you so much, America, you feel left out when you're not mentioned. Oasis records Definitely Maybe, riding the front edge of the new indie scene. Then, April 5th, 1994, Kurt Cobain, reluctant king of grunge, dies, and so did grunge. And yeah, all of this may be, at least the gobbiest of you may think this is all a load of tosh. But here in the States, we got Tosh 2.0, which is the upgraded Tosh that loves to hyperfixate, so fuck off, have a wank, let's get a butcher's hook at the Bits and Bobs, who's also your uncle, apparently. Over here, in the colonies, 1994, Jim Carrey ruled the land, with Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber all coming out in the same year. As Natural Born Killers, Forrest Gump, fucking Speed, Pulp Fiction, The Lion King, True Lies, Interview with a Goddamn Vampire, that weird Flintstones movie with John Goodman and Rick Moranis, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which, by the way, featured a cover of the Trogs' Love Is All Around, which would go on to be covered by Bill Nye as Christmas Is All Around, in every independent bookshop owner's favorite family feel-good, problematic, gaslighting, dude bro rom-com, but what most college Americans thought Britain was like, fucking Love Actually. And over there, since this is not about you, grunge and shoegazing were fading, and Britpop was exploding on the scene. So perfect timing. And on August 29th, 1994, Definitely Maybe released, goes straight to #1 in the UK, becomes fast-selling debut album in British music history at the time. Certified 8 times platinum with sales of 2.4 million units. They were huge. They were Jim Carrey 1994 huge. Bigger than the Beatles. So big, they even said they were bigger than the Beatles. Noel and Liam Gallagher are the poster generals of Britpop, along with Pulp, Suede, and Blur. Not to sound too Dickensian, but that one thing you must remember, or nothing that follows will seem wondrous. At the time, The music culture war of the North-South England, fueled by rock mags, or Inkies, because this is not about you, was post-fever and now at full mania, this coming from the land that was still recovering from Beatlemania, which claimed so many moms, it's a wonder anything got done. The divide over the Watford Gap, that's the line that divides North and South England down to a class level, with the North being the blue-collar and the South being the hipster privilege, now had anthems within the Britpop scene, with Oasis repping the North down to influencing the way people dressed in bucket hats, parkas, and polos, like Weezer if they could fight. Mushroom clouding into the cool Britannia movement. Think like Austin Powers, but everybody's charmingly befuddled. And they should make out, but they just couldn't possibly, until they got the tunes kicking and Hugh Grant's shirt came untucked. While this is going on, the lad culture kicks off, and that's middle-class kids talking like they worked in a fucking foundry. Laddism is basically misogyny, but it's ironic because it's British and they just couldn't possibly. You all remember when your pals first saw Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and talked like Jason Statham through college. To put it another pompatic indie snob music elitist kind of way, in fact, the anarcho-punk anthem Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba that would happen in 1997 served as a direct contrast, even though 'tis perceived as the smash-mouth all-star of British rock by the youth of then. See, I could be Francie too, Britain. Jog on. So, what's the story, Morning Glory? Well, it's a lot, so let's roll with it. Southern English Britpop band Blur released their album Parklife. 3 years later, they would go on to write Song 2, a.k.a. that woohoo song you know from whatever TikTok video you saw it in. And at first, Oasis and Blur, being from opposite sides of the Watford Gap, were kind of cool, fighting good-naturedly, very lad-like. Flash forward to 1995, when everybody is wonderwalling, when Oasis is going to release their second album. And Blur has a new one in the chamber, too. Oasis is having a bit of a thing then, when the brothers Gallagher started openly fighting like the brothers you humans would go to birthday parties for, but you knew it was going to turn fucking savage, and that's kind of why you were there. Anyway, on August 14th, 1995, both Blur and Oasis released a new single, Country House from Blur and Roll With It from Oasis, in a cultural standoff between the northern working class and the southern posh upper crustables. Oasis was repping the northern working class, pint-drinking, fist-fighting lads, and Blur the educated hipster lads. And on August 20th, 1995, Blur's Country House outsold Oasis's Roll With It by 274,000, 216,000, pissing off the already pissed and pissed off Gallagher bros, but whatever, fuck you. They released What's the Story, Morning Glory, sold a record-breaking 345,000 copies in its first week in the UK, before going on to spend 10 weeks at #1 in the UK album charts, becoming one of the biggest albums of all time, but you know it as the one with Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger, and some other wonderful song. After all that, there was public feuds, public fights, and a breakup in Legends. And now, here we are, August 27th, 2024. 15 years to the day of the famous Gallagher brothers split in 2009. And now, the brothers Gallagher, the cultural touchstone of Britain in the 90s, the 1994 Jim Carrey of Britpop, announced that Oasis is coming back in 2025. A band so steeped in the month of August, it might as well be from Osage County. And that's a reference you will probably get, America. And I'm sorry that we haven't really been talking about you. But it's not all about you. But you're me and I'm you, and now you know what's been going on over there. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Hey, today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you got to do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we had to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because baby, you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my Wonderwall. Yes, you're my Wonderwall.
Bill Larkin!
Jennifer!
Nailed it.